one of the most interesting sites in Poland. This is how enthusiastic tourists rate Wieliczka salt mine. Salt mine in Wieliczka occurred millions of years ago. Thousands of years ago, people learned to produce its first as a solution. Salt was prepared by evaporation. A little later, in the 13th century, people began to extract rock salt. It was mined until the 21st century. In 1978, the Wieliczka salt mine was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is unique in the world of mining and industrial site, which is continuously operated from the Middle Ages to the present day.
Unikatowość wielickiej kopalni polega na tym, że to jest jedyny z takich zakładów górniczych, który jest czynny tak długo.
The uniqueness of the shaft that it is the only shaft that has long been in operation. Currently there is no operation, but the work of miners continues. During the visit you can see the history of the mine development related to the salt production, elements of human work, including creative person, as well as moments of natural activities.
Zabytki tej pracy, a także wyjątkowe, jakby przyrodnicze, można powiedzieć, efekty tego, co tutaj natura stworzyła pod ziemią.
From the 15th century, the mine began to welcome the first tourists. First, this privilege can be used by a few. They were members of the aristocracy. They were allowed into the mine only with the permission of the king. Now anyone can get here, and those not quite enough. Today, the mine welcomed more than 40 million tourists from around the world.
W 1996 roku kopalnia zaprzestała eksploatacji soli, co nie oznacza,
In 1996, salt production was discontinued. There is still a lot of salt here, but we have taken a different path to optimize the use of mines and develop tourism. We deal not only with tourism, not only with our sites, but also we deal with sanatorium treatment. Here is a kind of unique treatment. We treat bronchial asthma and allergic diseases.
Ale także leczymy ludzi w podziemnym, unikatowym klimacie, w którym leczy się chorobę astmę oskrzelową, a także zwalcza się alergię.
The mine has 9 levels. Its depth reaches 327 meters, but the main tourist trail reaches a depth of 135 meters. It begins in Danilovich Trunk. 800 steps, about 3 kilometers, winding corridors, more than 20 so-called cells, a huge void in the salt thicker, which appeared as a result of choosing from its salt. Some cameras allows us to trace the origins and development of the salt mines in Wieliczka. For example, exposure of salt sculptures, which demonstrates how the salt was mined in ancient times and how technology changed over time, as well as the instruments.
Górnicy, którzy pracowali w tej kopalni od średniowiecza, musieli uporać się z ważną pracą polegającą na tym, że tą sól, którą najpierw wyrwali z scalizny ze skały, musieli później przetransportować do szybu.
Miners since the Middle Ages had to solve the issues of transportation of salt. Initially transferred it on the back, then used sleds that slide. Since the 18th century, they used truck, the so-called mine dogs, which transported salt doodles. But since the 19th century, they began to use rail transport. From the 16th century, horses started to work in the mine with their force. They moved the loads of salt.
W połowie XIX wieku wprowadzono transport szynowy, czyli podziemne kolejki, które były ciągnięte przez konie. Te konie tu pracowały od wieku. Były okresy, kiedy w kopalni pracowały pod ziemią.
At different times, different number of horses worked at the mine. There were periods when there were about 100. In recent years, there were few. The last was a mare named Barbara.
Barbara, czyli klacz, która służyła tu do końca, do 2002 roku.
One of the biggest chambers, the Chapel of Saint Kinga, the patron of salt miners, a huge temple located at a depth of more than 100 meters. Its dimensions are enormous, length 54 meters, width 18, height 12 meters. This camera is in a block of green salt that has been framed as a chapel a little over a century ago. There is absolutely everything, and frescoes on the walls, and statues of saints, and even chandeliers from the salt. Wieliczka salt mine is a whole city under the earth. Besides chapels, there is a huge restaurant, a sports and concert hall, post office, gift shops, museum of Krakow salt mines, cinema. Life here is in full swing. Besides tourism, pilgrimage and adventure routes, there are miners' celebrations, sports events, concerts and even weddings.